WRC agreement for 3 more years mean to Kenya? Of course, listen to that.
Niangalie tu gari. Nataka niangalie tu gari hapo.
All right, and of course, if you are like me, every time you see a safari rally car, there's usually that feeling that you get of excitement, the thrill that comes with it. And of course, like Kate said, you'll be experiencing more on that on April 1st to 3rd. And of course, that will be a dress rehearsal for the main event, which will happen in June. And of course, to get to understand more about Rally, the championship itself, and of course, the importance of this particular day, not only to us as Kenya, but of course, also to us as Nation Media Group. Of course, we'll be telling you why. We have, that set up downstairs, and of course, our very own Brad Mushiri will also be engaging with some rally drivers just to get a feel, of what will be happening on these two very important events coming on in April and in June. But in studio to also help us with the discussion on, of course, the World Rally Championships, I am joined by Tuta Mionki, who is a rally navigator. Listen, you know, I was just reading about you and got really, really mesmerized. You know, first of all, about your journey from HR consultant all the way to being a navigator. So it's really, really, first of all, a pleasure to meet you. Karibu sana, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm excited.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes.
I've always loved coming to Nation Media.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Karibu sana.
Thank
And of course, just looking at those cars downstairs, what are you feeling?
Excitement.
Right.
There's some sort of excitement which is not your normal excitement that you feel just seeing the cars. I walked by there and I felt like, do I go up to the studio?
Or do I just remain here?
Yes, yeah. That thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that you really can't explain.
Yes. It's such an amazing, amazing feeling. And of course, we also have Peter Njenga, who is a media director at WRC. It's really, really good to meet you this morning. How are you?
I'm very good.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's just get back to the basics. And of course, Tuta, I'll begin with you, being a navigator, right? And before we even talk about your journey as a navigator, let's just understand rally as a sport in general. What does that entail? Is it that what wameketi tu kwa gari and then overspeed?
Well, that's what it looks like to
Right.
the fan, to the spectator. It's two people in a car, one who's driving very fast and the other one who's a passenger, really. But there's no passenger in that car. You're both working. It entails a lot. Other than getting a car and getting the car ready for each event, you also have to get yourselves ready. The car has to be ready. The driver and the co-driver have to be ready. We go through testing the car, just spending time in the car with each other for the navigator to understand how the driver wants his or her notes called. For the navigator to also get, there's some sort of bond or gelling that needs to happen. To also get a feel of the speed, because drivers are different, the note calling system is different. So each driver has a particular way that they prefer their notes. So you have to learn that.
Yes.
And also get to understand what every sound, whether it's winds or if a driver says something, what it means, or if a co-driver says something, what it means. So there's a preparation bit. Then the day or a few days before the event, we do what we call recce. We go out to the route that has been prepared by the organizers. We look at the route, we write our notes. That can take a full day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then the next day, it's fun.
Let's go, go, go.
Yeah, it's go, fun. Enjoy the ride and make sure you're calling the right notes so that you get the best time, because at the end of the day, it's the person with the best time that wins. There's a fun aspect, there's a competition aspect. Just learn how to gel the two. Don't just compete without enjoying
the moment.
You lose
it can get intense, right?
It gets
can get very intense,
If you get to a point, when I started rallying, I basically did it for fun. I was a spectator for many years and kept thinking, these guys are having so much fun. You know? So I tried it. And the first few, maybe a couple of years, it was more fun. We take a jump and I'm like, whoa, you know, without that really competition aspect. And then once you keep going up, then it becomes more intense, because you want to do well and you want to compete, but never lose that fun aspect.
And of course, we've got to understand more about the new role as a navigator, because like you said, you're not just like an ordinary passenger making you up or having a good time. There's a lot that comes with it, right? And so for Peter, in terms of then, you know, of course, there has been like a global interest, you know, in the media as far as WRC is concerned. What really makes it so special?
Well, as you know, the Safari was out of the championship for the last 19 years.
19 years is a long time.
It was then called the toughest rally in the world. So when it came back, there was a lot of global interest. And it came in the midst of the COVID-19 containment. So the Safari was sort of like people wanted to ventilate. They wanted to experience the unknown. And actually, that was achieved, because figures from the WRC promoter, who are the commercial rights holders of the championship. When they released the figures, they were amazing, in the sense that Safari was actually voted as the most watched event on Facebook in the history of the championship, which dates back to 1973. That, on top of that, Twitter, YouTube, in particular, there was one clip of 19 seconds of a Japanese driver called Katsuta Takamoto, where he hit 179 kilometers per hour on the background of the beautiful African savanna. surrounded by giraffe, zebra. That was the image. Those are the images that the world was actually thirsting to see. Not, they say, the artificial
Part of it,
what you see in Europe. Here is Africa. Here is what they say that safari is the most televisively attractive event.
It is. It really is. I mean, given the scenery, given
so not
where
when
it
you look
is,
at
it really
those
is.
figures, they said that combined with social media, linear television,
All right.
we are talking of about 500 million people watch the safari.
Yeah. All right. So let's listening to what is happening down there. Then I'll come back to you later.
I don't think they want me.
People are screaming here like I don't know. Let's park it nicely somewhere there.
Well, isn't that just beautiful? Like, I'm looking at that and just thinking, I want to go in. I want to go in and experience. But also seems like scary. You see the way he's just doing all the turns and stuff. And me, I'm just holding my head like, hiya, what's going to happen? What if? Look at those people. They're like, hiya, okay, what is happening in here? And of course, like I said, it's a very, very, special moment and a special day today right here at Nation Media Group. And of course, we'll be telling you why as we continue. But of course, Peter, of course, you were explaining to us how this is important, especially for media. Right?
Yes, we are talking about 500 million people watching the safari, worldwide, linear television and social media, on technical media. That is going to show up figures for the WRC, the 13 rounds as a package, which in 2018 attracted about 886 million people worldwide, global television. Now this it shows that we are going to breach, because of the safari, they are going to breach the 1 billion mark.
Yes.
What does that mean to the world? It means that there is freshness in the championship.
There is.
Because as I said, that there is artificial atmosphere in Europe, where the rallying is like in forests, somewhere artificial. But here is wild. This is a beautiful Africa.
Yes.
We are talking of Hell's Gate. I look at Hell's Gate, was the setting of the Hollywood blockbuster, Tomb Raiders, Now, that was Hollywood, but here is actually reality television.
You get to see it as it is.
Yeah,
and
so
also get to see
the promoter had predicted that if you get 4 billion people worth of free advertising, which was achieved last year, what does that mean? It means that our tourism, there was Kenya as a brand, the visibility was enormous. And that means that we are going to expect more tourist arrivals.
In the
and
country.
that is the essence of the safari.
That's true.
The second tier is about, the economy. He had predicted that we could get as much as 7 billion shillings worth of direct injection, money direct injected in the Kenyan economy. Again, that may have not been realized, but we expect to be realized this year because we don't have COVID anymore, restrictions. Our neighbors, let's say from Uganda, we expect as many as 10,000 crossing over the border. And if all goes well, maybe over between 50 and 100,000 visitors coming from Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, we could also see the second one, a bit of rehearsal over there. And of course, this is actually driven by a lady. And I can see ladies actually just breaking the glass ceiling. And I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. And of course, we all know the president actually said last year that this will continue for 5 years. So it's like 5 years of thrill and excitement and all those things. And of course, there she is, doing amazing. And I like the fact that these are really young people, very, very young. Look at her. I mean, Tuta, looking at how do you feel?
It's very good to see the young group
Right.
in their 20s, and we have to keep encouraging the young people to join the sport and to come into the sport. We have to keep that legacy. We can't have 5 years and no Kenyan drivers, you know. So we want them to compete. Would love to see them compete at the highest level. And even as women in motorsport, we're trying to do the best we can to recruit
As many women.
or expose more women to the sport, and hopefully with the exposure we are getting from the WRC, get more sponsorship for women. But it's really exciting to see McRae, Maxine, you know, Jeremy, Hamza, people in their 20s coming to give the people who are almost exiting the sport. I don't think it really gets, like every time anybody who retires gets an opportunity, they jump right back in.
Yes.
But to have them drive the way they're driving, McRae driving at the junior WRC.
He also had an experience
on
on the
snow for the first time and
Yes.
got to the finish.
Yeah.
That for me was exciting. I think something to encourage
Absolutely,
the future.
absolutely.
generations.
Is there like restrictions? Because me, I'm interested. At least I think.
There are no restrictions. And like you mentioned earlier, when you see the car, when it's doing the donuts and the spins, and you get worried, that car is built with serious safety measures. Once you belt up, it's not your normal car belt. We have a 6-point belt
Yes.
that we've rolled in those cars a few times.
Yes.
I don't say too much so that my family doesn't
Exactly.
hear, but
Yeah.
you get out because the car is safe. It has a roll cage. It has the safety features are really there. And
Okay.
before the event, the scrutineers make sure that you follow the regulations.
The regulations.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
don't be afraid. Just jump in. And get an
Right?
opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, we have McRae Kimathi over there doing his thing. Wow. Okay. It's McRae Kimathi over there doing his thing. The youngest, actually, right? Doing his amazing, amazing things.
This guy, this is Jeremy actually. I think he's the youngest.
Jeremy,
right? I
Jeremy
think,
is the youngest, not
you're
McRae, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
McRae, Maxine, I don't know if Hamza is here, but they're guys who are basically exciting to even watch, and they're learning pretty fast, you know.
Yeah.
And that excitement you're seeing here is the excitement that people will get to experience.
Even more,
actually,
right?
yeah.
Because then we'll get to actually see the, you know, like the dust, if it will rain, the mud, and you know, the action will be really exhilarating. Now, some women actually watch, and especially the turns and, you know, all those things that he was doing down there, and some women is like, I mean, how different are these cars built? I know you talked about the safety aspect of it, but then again, the fact that, you know, the tires can do all those rounds and we're not seeing any form of smoke, you know, coming out.
Yeah, everything in a rally car is sort of rally spec.
Yes.
So it's not your normal shocks, tires, gearbox. Yeah, it's not your normal car. And that's what makes the sport a bit more expensive than driving your normal car on, you know, on the roads every day.
Yeah.
But then that also contributes to the safety of it, of course the speed. But everything in that rally car is different from what you have in your normal car. Yeah, basically just call them rally spec.
Rally spec,
Yeah, so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And of course, Peter, last year's event was very successful in the country, despite the fact, of course, that, again, it was held in the midst of a pandemic, but it was such a successful event that, like you said, you know, attracted so many people watching it and, you know, the views and stuff, right? So how different, what are some of the lessons, first of all, that we learned last year that you think will be, you know, implemented in this year's, you know, rallies, just to make sure that the experience is much, much better?
Yeah, you know, last year we entered into the uncharted territory. And we came out, you know, better and experienced, knowing that we have challenges that we have to face. First and foremost is about crowd control. The crowd behaved extremely well, but we had challenges with the traffic. Nobody expected so many Kenyans to drive all the way to Naivasha.
Yes,
Neither,
it's for the love.
Oh,
it's for
yeah,
the love of the sport.
Nobody expected that Kenyans would line up from KCC all the way to Kasarani, from Kasarani to Naivasha.
Right.
You're talking of 110 kilometers,
Yes.
both sides of the road.
Yeah.
Towns like, let's say, Ruaka, Banana, Limuru, they
All
were
of them were
packed.
full.
Yeah, people actually closed their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that the organizers learned, that they have to appreciate the Kenyans, but at the same time, they have to find a way of sorting out the transportation issue, traffic issue.
Okay.
When you look at Soisambu, for example, people slept by the roadside, and as many as 30,000 people jumped into Soisambu for a whole day just to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So it means that the safari is actually, it's also a fun,
It's an iconic sport.
iconic.
Yes, yes.
Well, in terms of media, we learned that we have to do much more. And thankfully now, I think we have jumped onto the peak, or
Yes.
the plateau.
Here we
of
are.
bearing in mind that nation, with all its technical might, with all its professionalism, that we are going to provide the world with what they want.
Yeah.
Most important, Africa, because nowhere else, no other place in Africa is likely to see a WRC drivers than in Kenya.
Yeah.
It's easy to drive from South Africa. It's easy people to be bused from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. Sorry, Uganda and Tanzania.
And Tanzania, yes.
So again, let's say even from a media perspective, is that you're going to expect an influx of so many journalists.
That's true.
As of now, as many as 200 have already applied for an accreditation.
passes, yes,
So you
yeah.
can imagine that they have to go back with the positive stories, positive images, which is good for Kenya.
Yeah.
But take you back about what Tuta was talking about, the boys. These boys are, than the girl.
Yes. Like, don't forget.
Yeah. They are under what you call the FIA Rally Star program.
Yeah.
That is the FIA in conjunction with the Ford M Sport, Ford Poland, are providing them with the cars. The local corporates are providing them with the resources, so that they can be able to race. And we saw last month, I was with McRae and Mwangi Kioni
Yeah.
in Norway, where they were actually taught how to drive in snow for 2 days. And you can see when they went to Sweden, we crossed over to Sweden, they
did
performed
amazing.
exceptionally well.
Amazing
So when you see
performance, yes.
him doing all these donuts, he's actually practicing.
Right.
But in real sense,
Yeah.
what you're going to see in the safari is something totally different.
Yeah.
He's actually climbing. These boys and the girl are climbing
They really
to the
are.
apex.
They really are.
And we are having what we call a generational change. We had the old drivers, like Baldev Chaga,
Yes.
Kalfash Tundo, Onkarai, they have all retired. And these are taking over the mentor.
Yeah.
ensuring that come 5 years before our contract is renewed, maybe we are going to have more
People
young
signing
drivers.
on, right? And coming up.
Hopefully
and signing up
you're
on
also
the
going
thing.
to join them.
Listen, I always tell people, you know, like these big bikes, right?
Yeah.
The thrill and the speed, I like that. And now meeting Tuta, I'm like, you know what? I want to learn, you know, I want to learn. So I will sign up. I really will sign up for
that would be amazing.
Right.
Because if you look, drive in some of our roads, you see, it's no longer, it's that a driver is a driver. It's not a lady, it's not a man.
True.
A driver is a driver. And I'm encouraged with what Tuta and her group did last weekend with the Lioness. And you could see, you know, there was a lot of interest.
Yes.
And that's what we want, freshness. You don't want to see the same old faces.
Same people.
Can we see a bit of fairness?
That's right.
To spice up the sport.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And of course, the thrill that comes with it. I am just so just in case someone is tuning in and thinking, fine. So you said there's no passenger. These two people are working together, right? And of course, at the end of the day, it is a competition. And like we said earlier on, sometimes it can get intense, right? So a navigator, take us through your role exactly as a navigator. And how essential a navigator is as far as the championships are concerned.
I'll quote Mwalimu Abdul Sidi, who has taught a lot of us navigators. He navigated Patrick Njuru back in the day, and his way of giving back is basically to train more people, free of charge, basically. And most of us went through Abdul Sidi Raleigh Academy. And he says drivers are stupid and blind. So they need a co-driver to tell them where to go. So, and if they don't listen, there are consequences, really. But basically, the work of a co-driver is during recce to write the notes. We do 2 passes of recce. The first pass is to write the notes, and the second pass is to confirm. So the driver tells me, this is what I see, this is what I would want called back. So the second pass, I call back to make sure that we got it right. There are a few changes here and there, and you're doing all those things. When the car is moving, you don't stop to write.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to multitask, yes.
Yeah.
On the day of the event, we also keep time. We have the time card, so we have to ensure that we start on the time allocated to us, and we get into the next control based on the time given for that specific section. If you get in early, you get a penalty, 1 minute for every minute. If you get in late, you get a penalty, but it's less, 10 seconds, because maybe something would have happened.
All right.
So you have to make sure that, especially now that the competition is, the gap is, people are separated by seconds, you have to make sure if you lose that minute because you didn't tell your driver, we still have time before we go in.
Yeah.
Can imagine 2 people beating you because you just made that mistake.
That small error, yes.
So we have navigator watches that we use to also ensure that the controller, the end of the control, gives us the correct time. The event is measured by seconds and minutes, and that is really key, and really key for the navigator to do. Then there's that road transport section between the competitive sections. We also guide the driver through that, because if you go off, then there are penalties that come with
That's true.
with
Yeah.
that,
I mean, but how much off can you go? Because I was watching some, and they went just a little bit off.
The rules, especially on in the competitive section, there's I think about 5 meters that you shouldn't go off. But then
Usually
if you
6.
miss if you miss the route or take a shortcut, then the consequences. So penalties, huge penalties, as much as 10 minutes. So can imagine you are leading and the guy behind you maybe was 30 seconds behind, and then you're thrown back like 10 places because of that. So or disqualified if it's a repeat offense. So we also need to read and understand the regulations, the national competition rules that are shared by the Federation at the beginning of each year, and then the regulations, which we call the supplementary regulations for that particular event. I'll tell you for free, and I know drivers don't like this, but they don't read. So the co-driver has to read and tell them.
It's you to do
it's you to
all
read
the
and tell them.
reading.
You're basically managing everything in the car. We have team managers to take care of logistics, and some teams might not have team managers. So you find that the co-driver
has to do all the things.
We'll calculate fuel, how much fuel do we need for the day and for each section, and do we need to fuel when we get to the refuel zone or not. So there's those bits that the navigator has to ensure that are done and done well, because every small mistake, the consequences
really
are
counts,
huge.
Yeah, it really counts. So it's like there's almost no room for mistake.
There's no room.
Or not even almost.
There's no room for
mistake.
mistakes. Yeah. Of course, we make mistakes. I might call a wrong note, and depending on how quick the driver is to correct, then we might not suffer too much, but I might call the wrong note and we end up in a ditch.
That's
or
true.
we roll. So,
That's true. That's true.
But once you're in the car, you're a team. So drivers also make mistakes. I may call a note, and sometimes they understand the thrill is too much, and we have maybe a 500, 1 kilometer before the next obstacle, and the guy's mind is just,
completely
let me go, you know.
Yeah.
So, so there's a way we shout certain cautions, and so that just to bring him back if he's enjoying himself too much. Yeah.
Okay, you know, now I'm really tempted to ask you, imagine right now we're down, you know, like what we're seeing down on, I mean, what we're seeing on our screens right now. I'm like, so can you imagine we are on the ground, and then do that, what you usually as a navigator, what are some of these calls, notes that you call? Can you do that?
Yeah, you can call, like if you get to maybe a 90-degree turn, you're calling maybe a medium left. There's probably a ditch on the left, so we say ditch, keep right. Then we say there's a brow, maybe a medium brow, and medium brow into caution, a slow left or slow right. Yeah.
Okay.
Or some people use number systems, so it will be 1 right, 2 right, 3 right. Yeah. So like I had mentioned earlier, it depends on what the driver is comfortable with. So when we switch drivers, you also have to switch the way you call notes. That's what the testing bit and practice is really key.
That one, you have to be alert. Like you have to be present physically, mentally.
Yeah.
Like all those parts of you need to be alert. And of course, someone might be like, so do you cram all those things? Do you read them? Do you
read them. During recce, you write down the notes. We have a notebook as you go through the route, ensure that you've taken the right notes. You've called a medium as a medium or a slow as a slow during recce, and that's why we do a second pass to just confirm that we got it right. So you're basically reading at 180 kilometers the note, and sometimes if you're doing the section twice, the driver might feel like, oops, that is actually a medium and not a fast corner. So you need to downgrade it. So as he's driving at 180 and you're reading, he'll also tell you downgrade that for the next loop. So coordinate all that.
Coordination, Apple.
But we also have a trip meter, what we use to measure distances and interdistances. So if I call like 300, I will reset it so that I can start the next distance to the next obstacle. But most cars have a foot reset. So you're like a professional drummer, because you're using your foot to reset the trip meter. If it's raining, you're using the other foot for the wipers or to hoot if there are animals or something on the road. And then the notes.
Hey.
But I can't drum it, so I don't know.
Coordination at its best. All right, and of course, Peter, like you said, last year, of course, we had the challenge, especially as far as crowd control is concerned, because again, didn't anticipate so many people would come. So the question is, and especially then for the media, how do you decide where to place what in terms, so that again, because at the end of the day, we, the ones who are watching, would want to see the best pictures, right? Yeah. So what is that process like?
Okay, we have what we call the spectator areas. You know, once the rally is goes live, then there should be very minimal movement, especially on the competitive stage. Therefore, we have designated spectator areas where they are marshaled. People should be 90 feet away from the road. And they should not be outside, let's say, a corner. Because a car can easily lose control and plow into the crowds, as we noted some years back in Tanzania, when that happened, and there were 5 fatalities. For the media, we have a gentleman called Anwar Sidi. He's a media safety. He has designated areas where he feels that are best to capture both the still and still images. Yeah.
Okay.
But unlike before, where you'd just go, walk in and walk out, yeah, now it's totally different.
Okay.
You have to be inside the route
Okay.
2 hours before the first car.
Okay.
Because unlike the cars of the old, I mean, you could see them in motion. These things, you don't see them. You can't
Yeah.
even read the number.
Yeah.
When you find that if the car on the street is doing like 240 kilometers per hour, anything, as Tuta will tell you, anything above 80, anything can happen. If you lose control, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, yeah.
And we have even seen in the world what has happened. Even the best drivers in the world, rolling, crashing, yeah, that should be avoided. Therefore, that's why we have designated media areas, and they will be bussed or they'll be forced to walk, and they cannot leave until the last car.
Ah, good.
Until the last car. Now, when you're talking of even now of the television, now that NTV is official media partner, you're going to work very closely with the WRC promoter. Otherwise, because Safari is also a business. Motorsports is a business. At the end of the day, he has to realize his revenue. That's why he has to sell the television rights. He has to sell images. But nobody, we only have 13 photographers allowed by the promoter to go inside.
Yes, good.
But no images, no still, no motion images. That is now between NTV and him to decide.
And the producer.
But nonetheless, we are going to have a lot of good long hours of live action, which will be achieved. Again, that's another first for Safari, because the promoter is trying to achieve 100% live coverage. And you know, it's a very big undertaking. The Safari will be like 1,000 kilometers long.
Yeah.
Of course, 365, the longest in the championship,
Yes.
will be what you call competitive. Now, to package all that, to bring it to the world, is a challenge. But I believe that that will be achieved.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the day, is no, everybody can't be in Naivasha.
Yeah.
But the action can always be
Everybody can access the action.
on linear television, subscription television, on Facebook, on Twitter, name it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, we do not want anyone to miss on the action. I mean, you can't really afford to miss on the action, you know. Because
Oh yeah,
like you said,
you cannot.
You
Because,
cannot.
because as I said again, I saw the old Safari.
Yeah.
And we saw the new cars, and Tuta will attest. They are amazing. It's something totally different. It's, I saw now what you call the hybrid technology in Sweden.
Yeah.
It's still a better car.
Yeah.
It is developing over 500 brake horsepower. Meaning what? It's now more powerful than the Group B cars that were banned some 40 years ago because of safety.
Yeah.
They say that they were too fast to be driven. Today's driver is an equally fast person, programmed.
Because they're like, you know, a rally car has a certain sound that's exciting.
Yeah.
And this one is a bit more silent. And
yes.
yeah, so guys were like, ah. But to be honest with you, we've had two rallies so far, WRC.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed them both. I thought I would be like, I don't feel like watching
we like
this.
the sound. We want the sound.
But
yeah.
it's still rally. It's still fast. It's still technical. And it's still the way a guy takes a corner and how different somebody else does it. It's still exciting, but with cleaner air.
Yeah.
So,
and again, that is what we want, because like you said, at the end of the day, again, yes, much as we enjoy this, but also let's be mindful of an environment.
Actually, to add on that, about the hybrid technology, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
But you not notice that. Last year we had a WRC Safari Rally team going to the Netherlands to learn how, especially to handle a hybrid car. Actually, it has come with its own technological advancements that when you see the green light, then it means the car is safe.
Yes. Yeah.
When you see the red light, then that is electricity. That is an electric conductor.
Yeah.
You touch it, you are going to be electrocuted. What now Kenya needs to do is that you need to get you the proper gear, the team was taught how to handle what? A hybrid car. But believe you me, actually a hybrid car is faster than internal combustion petrol-driven car. The internal combustion petrol-driven car had what you say technically 380 brake horsepower. This one is developing 514. So it means it's faster.
Very powerful, yes.
But it's also very dangerous. But in between, they have the opportunity to change from electric to motor. But electric will not last for more than 21 minutes. I believe 21 minutes. But again, that's where we are heading.
Yeah.
Change always
good.
should and will
Yeah.
always happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, that aspect of then road safety, very quickly before we go on a break. And of course, we know, FIA and of course, together with WRC, of course, very committed to just help, in terms of reducing the number of crashes, as well as improve road safety in the country. So what does this look like? And especially now that we are in this 5-year period where we're really, really excited about
Part of the legacy project of the safari, let's say last year, was the FIA has developed a special helmet. Trying to sensitize people. Then President John Todd, and he's still the special envoy for UN Secretary General on road safety. So he was very passionate that to bring the safari to Africa, whereby most road accidents involve what? Pedestrians, and now cyclists and border riders. Secondly, we have our own chief safety officer. It's called Norris Ongaro. He's been training marshals. Between 2018 and this year, he's trained about 2,000 marshals, and he'll continue training. And the beauty is that these marshals come from all parts of this country. And most of them are young. Actually, most of them are even college students. Now they understand the dynamics of safety. As I said earlier, is that spectators should be 90 feet away from the tracks, right? from the road. Tuta said that because again of technological advancement, using GPS, a car should not veer off the road. Said 5 meters. I think Equator is now 6 meters. You're talking about 18 feet. You cross that line, then you're penalized. It's the FIA wants to make rallying exciting, but as safe as possible.
Yes. And
You noted that the Kenya Motorsports Federation is trying to bring in, trying to regulate this street racing. These guys with the Subaru boys, the TTs, time trials. They're exciting. I mean, they have to be, that's a gray area that must be addressed, but it must also be regulated. We are lucky that last year we did not record any fatality. Any fatality. Unlike 2019, and that was it's an accident which happened outside the rally. Actually, the rally had ended, but something happened, and you know how Kenyans are excited. That excitement, and FI took it very, very seriously. They must ensure that they promote. We know that rallying is dangerous, it's fast, but at the same time it should be enjoyable, and it should not be used, or should not be a cause of bringing grief to families and losing lives.
That's true. We do not want to lose lives in the process, of just having a good time, and of course all the excitement that that the rally really comes within. There's also an aspect of conduct, and this is from the spectators, themselves as well. And I know you might not have too much control,
and unfortunately, it's here is where you say that we have this hashtag Fika Salama. Make sure that you go back home safely. Well, we noted that in Naivasha. There was a lot of excitement, and I'm happy with the EABL. They have come up with responsible drinking using the White Cup brand. I hope that campaign can bear fruits, because it's a big problem. we noted in Naivasha. Anyway, if we don't have enough accommodation, what do you do? People will sleep by the roadside. But that it needs sensitization.
That's the thing.
It's a big problem, but it's achievable. It's responsible drinking. Should be a personal responsibility. Yeah, should be a personal initiative.
Yeah.
But I hope, knowing that we are going to have so many Kenyans in Naivasha, is that the young people should also realize that safari is a family event. Yeah.
And you do not want to ruin the reputation of the same.
A father will want to tag along his children to go and enjoy the action.
That's true.
So we also have to behave to ensure that look, it's there for all of us.
Yeah, that we're all having a good time without having to make someone else uncomfortable, or at the end of the day, just really, you know, the reputation, because this is such an iconic, you know, competition. So we do not want to see anything negative. Yeah.
The thing about Kenyan fan and Ugandan fans basically is that they love the sport so much.
Yeah.
And they're always willing to help. Kenyans are known as people who generally help.
Yeah.
And going back to what Peter was talking about, the hybrid cars, that's one major positive, is that we see when a car rolls, everybody wants to run to rescue. Yet there are certain things that you do in the spirit of helping that basically makes things worse. So at least with the hybrid cars, we just need to sensitize the crowds. If it's red, don't dare, you know, get close to that car, and if it's green, But also, like he said, with the training that Norris, the safety officer, has taken people through, we should be able to also, because there are so many marshals deployed to the route, also allow us fans, the people who are trained to do their job, so that we don't make the situation worse.
For anyone.
But the excitement is there. People want to do things. People want to help. People enjoy bringing the car back to its four wheels. But then there should be limits, and let the people trained to
to just handle it. Just be there for the support.
Be there for the support,
right?
But don't run. We know you want to help. We don't take it badly, but there are people trained to really help.
For your own safety and for the safety of the driver and co-driver as well, right? Okay, and then again, of course, we are headed into an electioneering period, and of course, the main event will be happening, you know, around, before the general elections. Of course, the question might be then, what role does this play? You know, of course, this championship, the rally in itself, as far as just unifying, you know, the people all together.
I think there's that feel good, Secondly, distraction. We have been campaigning throughout.
Really
Last year, the safari actually filled the gap. Of people wanted to ventilate. They wanted to go out to have a feel. I mean, after that, being indoors for that long
period of time.
This time, people want to get out. Have a nice weekend, minus campaigning, minus their problems. We are having a lot of problems. Inflation is high, but still, that rare moment of about 2 or 4 days, it's good for the country. It's like a healing process. It's like a therapy, and that is what we need. People should get out. I was in Naivasha yesterday, and I've seen that the sort of investment, especially in infrastructure, is amazing, because people have realized, look, the safari can actually spur growth in a small town like Naivasha. Now we are going to have a lot of
businesses is booming, right?
Booming. Hotels, even campsite. That means that the fans will now not sleep by the roadside.
Yes, at least they'll have a place to sleep.
They'll have shelter.
Yes.
What Tuta has said, and we need to emphasize, is about also the safety of the spectators and the competitors.
And the competitors as well.
We have what we call technical intervention vehicles. Ambulances are spread within, I think, 900 meters. So it means if there is help, today's car, a driver, Tuta can say, is that you have two buttons. Again, the green and the red.
And the red,
When you press the red, remote control at headquarters, it shows that it shows your location, and it signifies that you're okay. If it is red, it means what? There's danger. There's danger. So the organizers are able to mobilize the medical intervention vehicle to get medical attention as soon as possible. Even within a span of about 10 minutes. And like we noted in 2019, there was an accident. But within 30 minutes, the patient was actually on his way to Nairobi Hospital.
Okay.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
So besides what you see the drivers doing, there's a team behind.
A large
for this,
team.
a large team
Yeah.
from
To show for their
medical, from
safety.
technical, from marshals, from the government agencies like the police services. It's amazing behind. It's a
Yeah.
huge team,
Yeah.
which is bringing this is a docudrama called the WRC
Yes.
Safari Rally.
All right, and quick question. In terms of the hybrid, you know, and you said, of course, there's the aspect of green and red, right? So some might be like, for me as a spectator, for instance, let's say the car has rolled, right? So then how do I know that this is red? I mean, because essentially you're not supposed to go
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
But then again, how do, just in case.
You see
know?
the lights, eh?
There's a light.
On the sides,
Ah, okay.
on top of the cars,
Okay.
on side mirrors, side windows, and on the front and the back.
Ah, okay.
So it's well laminated.
Whichever it rolls, the light will be visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's red, just avoid.
Again, don't.
And I think
Don't.
it's just a natural reaction when there's an accident that people want to help everywhere. Maybe not just here. I saw it
Yeah.
in was it no the rally before Sweden?
Monte Carlo.
Yes.
in Monte Carlo.
Yeah. People just rush, and then I actually was watching it and saw people run, then stop.
Okay.
So I think it's really important that we now have
Empower
that, because you
people.
don't know. You might go to
That's
help
true.
and end up in a worse
Or
situation.
you might think that red means it's like this person is seriously injured. They need help soon.
Yeah.
You know, like misinterpret.
Yes.
You know what these two signs or these two colors mean.
Yes.
I like what you're saying. If it's red, please don't go.
Please
go.
don't touch the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then again, there's some instances of eventualities. For example, you're probably just, you know, on track, on the field, doing your thing, and then there's a cow, right? Or there's an animal. It just appears out of nowhere,
It's a good
right?
one.
How do you then handle that?
Driver reflexes. I don't see this a lot with rally drivers, but
Yeah.
with, like Formula One drivers,
Yeah.
before the event, you'll see maybe a trainer with a driver dropping a ball and just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to
To
get
see
their
if
reflexes
they're-
to be sharp, and that it's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a few accidents. There's a friend of mine we call, oh gosh, that's not a good thing, but they hit a zebra and damaged the car. So
Yes.
we've never stopped referencing that incident to them. So sometimes it's almost not avoidable, but I
Exactly.
think especially for us running in conservancies and their animals, we've seen a lot of events that are clean. Basically, no
Yes,
animal was
no
hurt.
animal,
Yeah, so
yeah. And that
no
is
animal
what
was
we,
killed, and
you know, aim at.
but you find that a lot of them, sometimes even, I keep saying they stop to watch the cars.
Yeah,
So they'll stop and then they
Yes.
cross over after the car has
Yes.
passed. But immediately the fast car runs, and of course there's a chopper running
Oh,
ahead
yes.
of it. The chopper is able to sort of alert
The oncoming.
the animals that there's a car coming, and there's a way they do it. I'm not an expert in that field, but there's a way they do it, and they sort of
The animals
move the
move them
animals to
away
one
from the
direction
enemy. Yes.
and away from the route of
From the
the
road.
where the cars will pass.
Okay.
So there's that, but immediately the first car goes, most of them will stay
Yeah.
away. So the challenge is normally with the gap, and as you go to the back of the grid, you find that the gap increases. So you may find that some animals have come back onto the road, and that kind of,
Yeah.
and then for
But
animals,
also-
there's a time for movement.
Okay.
Sometimes it's in the
Oh, yeah, you also
evening,
need to be
sometimes it's in
mindful
the
of the
morning,
scene.
and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But
All
we've
right.
coexisted very well.
Very well.
We respect each other.
I mean, they also want to enjoy the thrill, right?
yeah.
Actually, to
All
add
right.
on that, like Hyundai last year, they have developed this special light. It's just blinking.
Okay.
Headlights. Eh?
All right.
That
So
is
that-
to warn the animals. Yeah?
to stay away.
When the animals they see that light blinking during
Okay.
the day,
Uh-huh.
it's somehow, I don't know, it signals
They
that
know. It's,
they
it's
have
like
to
they have
leave.
this
Yeah.
anyway.
That's,
Okay.
They're
some
very
sort of
All
social
right.
sense, yeah.
creatures.
Okay, let's take a break, and of course, when we come back, we'd also want to understand. So, on the first 2/3, you know, of April, you know, the thrill, what's going to happen, and of course, you know, the major event that is coming in June, of course, would want to understand, you know, what will be happening on the same. So, you do not want to miss that part of the conversation. The thrill continues after the short break. Stay with us.